ZeBirdBrain, and today we are talking about animation schools. So in the last video, I talked about the good points and the good elements of attending more of a classic school, like either a physical animation school or an online school. And by school, I mean like instructor-led training, where like somebody sits there and tells you how to do stuff. Not everybody has access to this, and it's a reality, and it's also part of why I made my channel, because I know that not everybody can afford to go to school, and that not everybody has school in their area or has the like learning preference of the school model. It's not good for everyone. I was very lucky when I went to school. I went to school in Quebec. I attended the CVM animation school, which stands for CEGEP, which is a very unique school in Quebec, like French Canada. It's kind of like college and university, but not quite. It's our own little thing. And the VM means Vieux Montréal, which is the city I live in. So it's Cégep du Vieux Montréal, which means Cégep of the old Montreal, because it's downtown Montreal, so that's why. I was very lucky because it's very inexpensive, because it is a public school. So I think I might be wrong, right? But for 5 years of school, I think my tuition total was maybe like $1,500 or maybe like 1,200, something like that. I don't remember, it's been 10 years. But it's very inexpensive because it is a public school, which also is a stigma on its own, because a lot of people think that public school are bullshit and they should go to private school that costs 60 grand. Well, sometimes even public school will be amazing. But even then, if you don't attend a traditional school, I'm here to show you how you can kind of cope for all the things you might be missing out. And like I said, I was very lucky to attend such a cheap animation school, which is what drives me to make my content, so that I can help other people learn at a very inexpensive fee. So, instead of no school, let's call that school ling on a budget. So all the options right here will be either free or very inexpensive, okay? So, we said that school gives you a great sense of community. How can you find that if you're not going to a traditional physical school? That's very easy. You can find animation communities. You can find those on Discord. You can find those on Twitter. And any kinds of forums. I truly only know like Discord because that's where I live, that's where I hang out. But there's many other animation communities you can find. And when I say animation communities, you need to find something where people will gather. So you need more than like 2 or 3 people. Like you need a bunch of people. Because what we're trying to recreate is the different mindset that people are gonna have. So a different mindset. You also need different skill set. Like, maybe people that do background, people that do animation. It's important to have many different people, because this is how you can learn the different sides of all the different jobs that you will kind of live around when you go into the industry. And it's also a great place to share your art and have some kind of accountability, because learning on your own, truly on your own, can be very hard, because you don't have anyone to show your work to. You don't have anyone to get advice from, or when you hesitate between A or B, like you have no one to ask for. So having a Discord community will be great to have people to communicate with and grow with, but also having a community is very important because of the network. Remember when I said in animation school that the people you study with are going to be your colleagues in all the years to come? It's also true if you're going to schooling on a budget. If someone in your group finds a job, probably that their job is going to be looking for other talents. So the person who finds a job in your group will contribute to finding jobs for all the other people in the group. So one of the most important point, I think, when you are going to school on a budget is find a community. And most of these are free. Like I don't know many Discord that you need to pay to enter. I mean, there are some, but like you don't necessarily need them. There's a lot of free communities that you can join. Like mine! The Shenanigans community is pretty cool, if I say so myself. Not to brag, but the Shenanigans community is pretty darn great. And the great thing with, and that's also a thing that online communities have over animation school that is better, is that in online communities, you will have professionals that are gonna hang out with students. And they live usually in harmony. So even if you are in a traditional school, you should still join a community. because there's a lot of things out there that are very great. You can learn from pros, you can have maybe like voice chat with people that are in the industry. This is not something I had when I was in animation school. It didn't exist. I had no idea what the world was out there, and so very important, join a community, very important. Then for the quality point, when I said that there was good and bad school, there are also good and bad community. You need a community that is positive. If a community is toxic, please get out of there. You don't have to stay in any toxic community that are gonna belittle you or treat you like shit. Please run away from there. And also for quality, this is a bit more of a harder subject too. Yes, there is a lot of free resources to learn online, but no, they are not all great. And this is a fact. Like, some people teach some stuff on YouTube that might not be accurate, especially when it comes to 2D rigging, because that's one of my expertise. I do know out there that there are a lot of materials that are inaccurate, maybe on the older side, so they're going to teach you rigging techniques that have been done in maybe like Harmony 12, that today in Harmony 21 you're not supposed to use. But then if you learn from there and you make mistakes then in a studio, or you learn the wrong way, you will have a lot of unlearning to do. So finding a good school is as hard as finding quality materials online on your own, because it's so easy nowadays to find and create materials, which also means that there is less of a filter. So to help you filter, try to find videos that are a bit more actual, like more into modern days. Like if you find a rigging tutorial that dates from 2008, it might not be super accurate. So try to find positive environment to work with, but also quality material. Like, always try to see if the person teaching has kind of a way to back up what they're teaching. Like, is it just something that they discovered on their own, or is it something that they tried in the studio and it worked? Of course, it depends on so many things. But always try to keep at the back of your mind, like, is it actual quality material that I'm staring at or not? So it must be positive, and I would say be careful about where you learn from. So for network, we already talked about it into the community, for like joining a Discord and like a free community and all that. But networking is also more than just being part of a community. It's also trying to put yourself out there. To do that, you can either join conversation online. Sometimes they're gonna have festivals that have free workshop that you can join in, and sometimes they're gonna be a chat, so maybe you can start to meet people there. So I would say join conversation. And when I say join conversation, please, I don't mean toxic conversation on Twitter and all that. I mean positive environment, okay? So join conversation. Also workshop. Sometimes they have free workshop online that you can join that are very great. If you have a museum in your area, you might be able to go there for free or for very cheap to encourage the museum, and you might meet other good artists there. I remember I know in Montreal there's an indoor zoo that I go often, and I met many artists there, because I often go there to doodle and draw the animals, and there's other people that come in and they're like, oh, you draw, I draw too, and then we make friends. So networking can also be just meeting cool people in cool art places. To replace the traditional school teachers, what I usually recommend is, when you join a community with professional people in there, sometimes they're gonna have good tips to teach you, and a lot of professionals are very benevolent. So you're gonna find like benevolent pros that are people that will like to mentor other and teach them. Of course, be careful. Not everybody's kind. Like, some people are gonna be toxic. If somebody's toxic, you get out. But most of us are just there to have a good time, and we love to try to help, and we'll love to try to help other artists just get ahead. Personally, what I think great is when there's something that I spent 7 years struggling to learn, and I teach it to someone in 30 minutes, and then 3 hours later they are twice as good as I am, and that's great. That's why I like to teach, and a lot of people just thrive to help others. So don't be afraid to reach out to communities with more professional. We usually don't bite, we're just there to have a good time. So use professional as kind of teachers. And I'd say don't be too afraid. If you're really committed and you know that you can do it, you can ask people if they want to mentor you. I remember I attended a storyboard workshop back in the days with Chris Byrne, who directed a bunch of cool things. And I don't go asking just everyone like, do you want to mentor me? Do you want to teach me? Because that's also annoying. So like, be sure that you can actually commit to something. Like, it's not something you ask at random. But when he gave the workshop, I was like, oh, like the way he teaches had a very, very nice ring to it. Like, it really spoke to me. And then I just took a chance. At the end of the workshop, I went and I was like, hey, I really want to learn storyboarding. Would there be any chance that if I send you some things, you might want to take a look at it, maybe help me out? And he was like, oh yes, I would love to mentor you. That seems like a great idea. You have a good energy, a good vibe. So, make little connections like that, and don't be afraid to talk to people. Sometimes they are more reachable than you think. Sometimes they are not, and they don't have time, and they're not into it because they don't feel comfortable teaching to other people, and that is also okay. Not everybody likes to do that, and that's okay. Everybody should be at ease to say no if somebody asks you to mentor them, and you should also not take it to heart. It's not against you. Sometimes people don't enjoy teaching others, and that is totally fine. But if you're in a community and people are active there, just say hi. So for the other skill, or as I also call them, soft skill, you can learn soft skills by joining events and activities and challenges. So for the soft skills, I would say join events and challenges and all that. Because what events and challenges are going to teach you, maybe working as a team. So if you join a MAP, like a multiple animator project, you're going to be working with others as a team. Sometimes there's a storyboard to follow. Sometimes you're going to do effect on somebody else's scene. So joining MAPs is going to be great to get you to develop like soft skills such as meeting deadlines, such as finishing something or working or communicating and all that, which is very important. So joining these kind of projects can be very helpful. MAPs, you have to be careful because sometimes the multiple animator projects are not gonna get finished ever, so be careful. That's why I would rather join little challenges, and it's very great because it will allow you, maybe you think you want to be an animator, but maybe there's gonna be like a character design challenge that is gonna help you learn a bit more about character designs, or maybe you are mainly a background artist, but there is a little animation challenge and maybe you could learn a thing or two about animation. So these challenges, usually they are short and they're very helpful to help you push what you usually do. But I'm gonna cover this part on his own video in the future, so I'm gonna keep it short. But yeah, join things and be part of some things is gonna really help you out. For the material, I don't have much to say, but like check if there's maybe libraries near you. You can also look at the local marketplace or any kind of little site you have in your area. Sometimes artists are gonna resell what they have secondhand for very cheap. So secondhand is really amazing for that. If you're looking for like a tablet or a piece of equipment and new is too expensive, well, tablets are usually sturdy. So I know I got all my Cintiqs secondhand. So secondhand can be really great if you don't have the budget to buy a brand new Cintiq. There's many other brand of tablet that you can try that are maybe more on a budget side, and secondhand is also very amazing. And when I say secondhand, it's also for like desk. It's for supplies. When animation school years finish, sometimes the students are gonna just give away what they had. So very nice for supplies, and also you can get secondhand, of course, equipment. Another thing to look out for equipment is sometimes when studio closes, they're gonna put little ads out there on animation communities being like, our studio is closing, our studio is upgrading to newer equipment, we're gonna sell the old one for very cheap. So always be on the lookout. Maybe there's gonna be something like that around your area. For the push you thing, it's because in school you have other people to push you and hold you accountable for stuff. Like your teacher is gonna push you to maybe try things you would have not tried. I know when I was in animation school, I had no idea what I wanted to do because everything was hard. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna be a storyboard artist. Maybe I'm gonna be an animator. I don't know. So for the push you, I just really want to insist for you to try stuff. Because we all think, oh, I want to be a character designer. Oh, I want to be an animator. But there are so many different things in our industry. So even if you think you want to be an animator, I would say if you're learning, because you cannot be the best at everything, but if you're learning, I would recommend trying different stuff, like try to do BGs, try to do character design, try to do animation, try to do a little bit of everything just to open your horizon a little bit and be less focused on one thing, just to broaden your horizon a little bit and to know all the other like department in our industry. Because at the end of the day, we're all working as a team. So, and maybe if you try backgrounds, you could discover that you really enjoy it, and maybe animation was not what you thought you wanted to do. Or learn more niche things, but you will never know if you don't try them. So I would say try to learn other things and push yourself to try new stuff. Even if it's just for once or something, it's really interesting to broaden a bit your horizon. And it also helps when you feel a bit bummed by like, oh, my animation is not working. Well, you can try something else. So yeah, and also try to find good friends to also help you. They're gonna help you and push you through the bad times and all that. Discovery is one of my most important things, and it also goes to school and school on a budget. Discovery is because you are more than your art. I see so many people in the industry going into burnouts and feeling like shit all the time because, oh, I hurt my hand, or oh, I cannot draw today, like I feel like garbage. Like, it's important that you learn as soon as possible that you are more than your art. You are more than a animator, you're more than a character designer. Go find other hobbies. Maybe you like food, maybe you want to do pottery class, maybe you like to write, or you like to do sports. Go out there and live your life, because when we are in a creative industry like that and we have to tell stories and all that, sometimes your life stories are gonna come and help you out. Like, yes, I'm an animator and a teacher, but I also enjoy lots of cooking, I sail in the summer, and I love to hike. And all these little things make me a better storyteller because I have experience to drive my animation from. Maybe if I need to animate a character like stumbling, maybe, oh, I remember I had to do that like movement a while ago. So get out of your computer screen and live the world, because it's really gonna help you out. So that can be as stupid as taking walks each day, because when you take walks, you discover the world around you. You meet new people, not meet by like talking to them, but like you see other people, like how they walk, how they go about life. So walks are free. You can do them mostly anywhere. Other discovery might be to just try to join clubs in your area. Maybe sometimes local libraries and local centers have activities to offer. Or you can join maybe like a bouldering gym in your area. You can join a cooking club in your school or something. So there's so many things, but please go, like, you are more than just your art. Like, there's more to just your art than what you do with it. Having assignment is really important. It is something that in some school is detrimental. I think some schools ask too much of their students, like they give too many assignments, and that's awful. But on the second hand, assignments are super important because they allow you to finish something. So having a finished thing is super important. And that's what usually assignment in school are gonna do. Maybe you're gonna have an assignment to hand out next week or like in 2 weeks. And yes, this assignment can be annoying and you're like, oh, why am I doing that? But what you do in these regular school is that you practice finishing something and moving on. Like, moving on is one of the also most important thing. Because when you learn, it's time to make mistakes. So I think it's more important to do many small animation exercises, for example, or many small character design exercises, or maybe small backgrounds. Because you are bound to make mistakes, especially when it's your first ones. So it's okay to make mistakes in your assignment. Very important. So when you're in school, you have assignment because your teachers give them to you. When you're learning on your own, without a program to tell you what to do, it's easy to either feel lost or focus on the same animation for 3 months and then still not liking it after 3 months. So I'd say for assignment, one way you could do it on a budget is, like I said, to join challenges, and also maybe to set yourself a goal, being like, I will work on this animation and in 1 week I will stop working on it. But of course, saying this is easier than doing it. You can say like, oh yeah, I wanna, in 1 week I'm gonna finish this animation, but it's a bit hard when you're alone. So that's why being part of a community is great, because you can have other people holding you accountable for stuff. So then if I was on Discord, I could be like, hey guys, here is my project. I want to finish it next week or like in 2 weeks, and I cannot wait to show you, because probably if you're in a good community, somebody's gonna remember and be like, oh, how is your progress? Or like, oh, I cannot wait to see your animation. And just knowing that maybe someone could be there for you could help you have a bit of accountability. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, because this could also be very stressful for people, being like, oh my god, everybody's gonna judge me. So like I said, there's no perfect system. I'm just giving you advice. If it works for you, it works for you. But speaking of the anxiety of showing your stuff to people, as much as it's hard, at the end of the day, it's a very important part of learning. So I'd say really try to share stuff that you make, especially if you're in a good community. Because ultimately people are not there to hurt you. Like, most people are not there to hurt you. And that is true. And as hard as it is to share your stuff, it's really important, because even if I respect everybody who has their own issues, their own anxiety, their own stress, at the end of the day, in the animation industry, you will need to share your work. When you're in a studio, you will have a supervisor giving you retakes, giving you advice, pushing you to make a animation scene even greater than the one you plan and stuff. And it is very hard, and I understand it. I've been there. It's very, very hard to share your stuff, but the sooner you learn it and you do it bits by bits, I think the better you will feel in the end. And I'm not talking about like diagnosed very hardcore anxiety disorder, and I'm not even gonna go there because English is not my first language and I could trip and say something that I didn't intend. But if you are shy and having a hard time sharing your stuff, I think if you find a nice enough community, try to do it slowly, piece by piece. Because I've been in studios where people got hired and they got one retake from their supervisor, and then it was the end of the world. They felt like shit. They felt like awful unworthy artist, and that's really not the point. And it just came from them not having the experience of ever had critique or have had help from any kind of mentor guiding them. And it really pains, because if you start to learn that after school, or like when you're in a studio, it's really late, and it's gonna be even harder to kind of build your confidence and to build the way to answer this stress. So by having small assignment and joining small community, I really hope that it can help people overcome the stress and the feeling of dread of having to share their art. Because at one point, because at the end of the day, we are artists, we are there in the animation industry to entertain, and this thing we produce will be seen by others. So it's only normal to have critique and share stuff with each other. And if you're ever looking for some help, I know that on our server we have a great place for feedback and to share stuff. And if anyone ever gives you trouble on my server, you have to tell us and we're gonna assess the situation. But yeah, I really hope that it's gonna help you. And the last point is the diploma. Like I said in the last video, yes, school is gonna give you a sweet little paper, it's amazing, but I just want to say that it's not the only thing that you can have. Yes, it's one perk that traditional school have over somebody that is learning on their own without attending a traditional school system. But there are some other things to look up for. Maybe instead of a school diploma, if this is impossible for you to have, because diplomas are not just a fancy paper, it's really something or someone vouching for you, being like, yes, they accomplished X or Y things. If you cannot get a paper from a school, sometimes just having someone vouching for you, being like, oh yeah, I've worked with that person on this multiple animator project and they were great. So this is going to be an entryway in a studio, because somebody can vouch that you are more than an artist that can like draw a pretty picture. You are somebody who works as a team, somebody who can respect deadlines. Because ultimately, when people look at the diploma on a resume, they don't look like, I only accept people that went to SCAD or that went to CalArts or whatever school I could name. Like that's not exactly what they look at. But when people hire, because I've been there, I've been in hiring positions with the studios, like what my superior would look for is not so much what school they went to, is did they attend a program of some sorts that is going to teach you the soft skills that I was talking about, where like the work etiquette, the social etiquette, the deadlines, the teamwork, all the things that you learn by being part of a group. That is usually what the paper is all about, more than exactly what school you've been to. So if you cannot really have that, well, you can have people like vouching for you, and you can also have smaller events, such as attending like a short workshop or going to animation festival, like just to know that you attended some kind of program or something, like small workshops, and just to show that you've done things and been part of projects. So workshops usually cost money, but sometimes they're not as expensive as like instead of going to a 60K school, you might have a $300 weekend workshop that can teach you a lot about it. So you know, even if it's money, it's still on a budget in a way. But if you want something that is completely free, just being part of programs of animation competition, such as a 48-hour of animation, they have a lot, and it's usually free. I know lots of animation festivals that do that. So if you cannot get like a actual diploma of a school, don't panic. It's not that important, because there's other ways to get a similar feeling to it. Because ultimately, a lot of people just want to know if you did stuff, like accomplished something. However, the thing that is a bit more sad with this, and that I cannot lie about, is for the diploma, they are extremely important if you want to get work permit. That is the one thing that we cannot lie about. To get permits, in a lot of countries, you need credentials. You need to prove that you attended any kind of school. So this is not something I can help with, but it's something you have to look out for your situation. Depending on what country you are in and what country you want to work in, you might have to actually get papers from school. So either like a diploma or a attestation paper. I have no idea how to write that, but like there you might, these are the usually like permits and visas are usually the almost the only thing where like a diploma, like an actual physical school system paper might be needed. And this is not me being elitist or anything, it's just the truth. For permits and visas, you might need a paper. So I really recommend informing yourself from where you live about how it's at, because sometimes studios are not allowed to hire if people don't have the visa. And to get the visa, you need to prove that you have an education of higher level. So really be careful about that, because it's very sad if the only thing keeping you from achieving something is a small paper that you could maybe get in a small school or whatever. So that is the thing I cannot help with, because I have no idea, but that's what I've been told, that for some things having a paper is important. Yeah, so I mean, I really hope it helps. So like I just recommend people, if you cannot attend like oh my god, this is such a mess, if you cannot attend the traditional quote-unquote school system that has a lot of good points, I just want to prove that you can get these points even if you don't attend a traditional school and you do this more like on a budget or on your own or something. I just think that if you intend to not attend a traditional school, I think that these are the things you should kind of look out for. So finding a community, finding people to hold you accountable, being consistent with your learning and all that. And I don't know, I just really want the whole world to be a better place and have good alternative to very overpriced school, because I understand that I had the luxury to have a very inexpensive school, but it's not the case for everyone. And I know that I'm not the only one, so a lot of people are just ganging up to try and help other learn. And yeah, and just to finish, yes, some schools are expensive, but I'm not saying that every school that is expensive is bad. Running a school is very expensive. I had the luxury of having a very inexpensive school, but that's because the government of where I live puts a lot of money into education. Yes, it cost me $1,000, but it cost the government maybe 60 or 70 grand per person. So schools are expensive because schools oftentimes cost a lot to run. But yeah, I just wanted to give more of a output of what you can do to kind of learn without attending a traditional school. So I hope it's very helpful. This was longer than I thought, but yeah, have a nice day.